It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. The top of the evening on a Tuesday night, the 25th day of February 2/25/25. What a great night, a Tuesday night. Good to see my dear buddy Tony A.F. Branco. I even got his website right. I don't know what he's going to do. He probably fell out of his chair. Now, I was trying to be casual. Look at, he's dressed up. So just in the sense of fairness, I'm going to put a tie on just so Branco will think I dressed up for him and, you know, made this sort of officially a right kind of show that he don't think I've downsized for him, so he'll think that I'm important. So I just want you to know, Branco, I'm going to put my red, white, and blue tie on tonight. Now, somebody out there is going to see this show, and they're going to say, that McDonald man has lost his natural-born freaking mind, which that is a rumor all the time on here. It's so good to see you making your 2025 debut, man. Good to see you for the first time this year. It's really been a pleasure, you know, and I've been telling all my guests this year, we're 7 years old, and we're going on our 8th year doing this. It's hard to believe that, and I just sort of laugh. And I think I've survived by not taking myself too seriously and just enjoying the ride and laughing at the stuff that's went wrong and still laughing at the stuff that's went good. But, buddy, I want to tell you, I mean this. I've really enjoyed getting to know you the last few years. You've been a great guest, and I just love your work with the cartoons. For those that don't know, most people know you. who on this audience tonight. Tony is an award-winning cartoonist for several publications. Now, how we got him, I'll never know, because he's scratching the barrel of the bucket to come on the McFiles, man. We're grateful. No, seriously, it's good to see you tonight.
These are my kind of people.
These are my kind of people, and you are too, man. It's good to see you. I don't even know where to start, Branco. I tell you, man.
I did start my cartooning career in a sawmill. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did, actually, and I'm kind of proud of that. Yeah, I used to do cartoons about the politics of the sawmill, the leadership, the lazy people that didn't pull their weight, just a lot of different things that come up in a sawmill.
Yeah, sort of like
you kind of have to be there, I guess.
Yeah, but, sort of like 2025 in Washington, D.C. right now, I think. That's a pretty accurate description. He did do a good dumb foolery cartoon, and I should have brought it out. Next time you're on, I got to show people that. That's the absolute best cartoon he's ever done. Now, he didn't get no awards for it. In fact, his editors threatened to pull his license after making a caricature of me. But so funny. I'm just in a good mood tonight. It's good to see you. And all jokes aside, it's been I tell you, Tony, me and you last time we talked, Joe Biden was president. And, we were very concerned about the direction the country was going, and we had this election, and the country spoke in no uncertain terms. And I have to tell you, me and you're about the same age, and I in all my life that I have been on this earth, I don't think I've ever seen a month and a half of a presidency like we have seen Donald John Trump succeed in doing. And the only impediment that is going on right now is the courts. And that's the only thing the Democrat Party has left are crooked judges who are political hacks that are trying to stand in the way and stop what they're doing and trying to root out this fraud. And it's like the Democrats are in a no-win here because they are literally defending something that is indefensible. And I'm telling you, I think that this is a setup. I think Trump is laughing his head off. And I don't even think the impediment is even bothering him this time, because it's like a political campaign for 2026. And if you get down to it, for 2028 too, and his successor. Because I want these Democrats to defend what they're doing right now, telling the country, well, we don't care that you've bled $5 trillion we can't even find. But God forbid that somebody like Elon Musk come in and figure all this out and stop our gravy train. And, brother, I tell you, it's been a wild month and a half. I'll get you basically thoughts on that first, and we'll get into some other stuff specifically. But what a way to start the second term of Trump.
Unbelievable. He's forced them to defend waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yes.
And it's amazing because they've always overreached, and every time they've had power, they overreach way to where people rebel at the end of their. Mm-hmm. They rebelled against Obama after his second term because they said, "Well, we don't want this kind of crazy." It ushered in Trump, but Trump he's weighted down by impeachments and phony trials and phony lawfare to the point where I'm amazed that he even was able to accomplish what he did in that 4 years. And he accomplished a lot.
He did.
The media won't talk about it, but he did. It's like it's kind of like the Democrats. They I'm trying to figure out where I was going to go. But I'm used to drawing, not talking. But they've been forced to defend the indefensible, waste, fraud, and abuse, and he has corralled them into a position where that's all they have. And here's the other thing: you'll hear a lot of them say, "Well, it's not that he's doing that; it's the speed and how he's doing it." Well, you've had three presidents. You had Bush.
That's right.
Had Obama,
that's right.
Clinton, Biden all claimed that they were going to get into and cut out this waste, fraud, and abuse. And they always talked about it, but they never did it.
Never did.
Never did it. Finally, you have a president actually doing it, and the screaming is so loud. I think it's beautiful, actually. We'll see how it goes.
You know that movie that was in the late 2000s, V, and he was doing that orchestra, the Guy Fawkes mask, and Parliament was destroyed, and, we don't advocate the blowing up of buildings, but the whole purpose about that movie was corruption. The government of England had gotten so corrupt that this one man basically rose to power and tried to bring the people power back to the people, and he was doing the little orchestra, and I just see Trump doing that right now. It's just like he's orchestrating this orchestra, and and look, I saw something today in him, and look, I'll get your opinion about this. I see a different Trump. Even you mentioned the first term, but he's different. Tony is a man. He's different. I think that he's relaxed. That's the word. You nailed it. And I saw somebody was talking about how that that maybe it was the best thing that ever happened in this country that they stole this election in 2020, because it gave Trump 4 years to regroup, sit back, watch what they were doing, know what they tried to do to him the first time, basically build his cards quietly. You didn't hear him making any kind of overt threats toward anybody during his campaign. He kept calm. Things that shook him the first time did not shake him this time. And I watched a man today when he was basically stripping Jack Smith of his security, and the reporter, the dumb blank reporter, said, well, how do you feel about targeting people like Jack Smith? And Trump shot right back. He said, don't talk to me about targeting. He said, I've been targeted for 8 years now. And he said, if you want to talk about targeting, let's talk about what happened to me and my family. And you know something? That's guts. And the media, they don't know what's hit them. They do not know what's hit them. And Carolyn Levitt today and Alina Abedin talking about that, not Abedin, but Hibba, the lawyer, she told them, she said, what are we arguing about? You media people are fussing over whether, the employees cannot respond to a 5-point email. That's all Elon wants them to do. Tell me 5 things you've done this past week. She said, y'all are losing your lunch over the requirement when you should be losing your lunch over the fact we got people in the freaking federal government that don't know how to open an email and put 5 things down on a piece of paper as to what they're doing for their jobs.
Preach it, brother. Absolutely.
I think I will, but go ahead.
Yeah, tell us what you really think. No, the Democrats have always operated under this guise of helping people, when it's just a disguise for gaining more power and destroying the government and destroying the people's freedoms under the guise of helping. And they're not helping. They're taking more freedoms away all the time. They did it throughout the 8 years of Obama, and then the third term of Obama, which I like to call it, with Biden in there as the petrified mannequin. It was on steroids, because I think they knew this was their last run at gaining as much power and corrupting the Constitution and our laws as much as possible, and they tried to get it in, and thank God Trump was put in there, because, and I do think that it was the hand of God that got him in there.
Me too, buddy.
The last 2 assassination attempts, I think God just said no and stopped it, and I don't want to say what I think God is thinking, because I don't know, but because his ways aren't our ways. But
I'm with you, buddy.
I do think there was some divine intervention in there, and we're seeing why.
Absolutely.
Because we were on the verge of losing our country forever on the face of the earth. The greatest, freest country on the face of the earth. We're this close to losing it to these corrupt communists.
Without a doubt, and that's what they are. They are communists. And did you expect the level? I've got your cartoon up that Haley on more rocks, and he lifts the rock up, and the odor is coming up from the turd piles there of the CIA, the USAID. I love it. They are. Only Branco can illustrate this. I'm going to show him the big balls in a minute. That was a good one too. I'll get to that one in a minute. But did you, as a citizen and as Tony Branco the man, Did you expect the depth of corruption that has been uncovered in just the few weeks that Elon did this? I knew things were bad, Tony, but I tell you, some of this stuff they are finding, good grief. I mean, it's
even deeper than what we're seeing.
Yes.
That's what it's showing, that there's the depth of it. I just saw, I don't know where, I can't remember where I saw it, where Soros was getting millions of dollars diverted to him through USAID or one of these outfits. Our tax money to subvert people, to corrupt them. And that needs to be delved into. If that is the case, this Soros operation needs to be shut down. I hope that they can get that far, but I didn't expect it. I didn't expect this much to come out. And what it's showing me is that there's a lot more, probably more than what we'll see in the next couple of months. But I have a feeling that if they continue with Bondi and Cash, and they continue this, if they're not shredding it and bleach bitting hard drives, we're going to see a lot more, and some people's heads are going to roll. Do you foresee arrest? Do you think that this is going to lead to criminal charges? I think somebody's going to have to be arrested. See, they say, oh, well, let's let bygones be bygones. No,
can't do it.
Because as soon as we're out of power, they're going to do it again. They need to be taught a lesson. If they ever do get power, which I don't think the Democrats ever thought that Trump or MAGA or anybody like-minded would ever see power again. They were so confident. They were so confident. That is why they went down that road. That's why they went down the lawfare road. They were going to cinch Trump down. And when they realized that they may not be able to do that, that's when the assassination attempts happened. You can't tell me there isn't something in the backroom dealings that didn't help that along.
Well, on that note, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a breaking story tonight in Gateway Pundit, and Breitbart is picking it up, I think, too, as well. But Gateway Pundit for sure, that Kash Patel has launched an investigation into 13 government officials. Now, they were not named in the report, but he is looking into the details around both assassination attempts with government FBI ties to that. And we've got that article. We posted it on our Telegram room tonight. They can read it. But, Tony, I think that's the worst nightmare. I'll say this as a statement, but ask it as a question at the same time. I think of all the cabinet positions that scared them the worst. Look, the Dems are having a nightmare right now, and they're not going to wake up from this for a long time. The best case scenario is in 2 years they grab the House back, and they'll put a stop to a lot of this if they do. And that's why we've got to still be vigilant on our side, not to think that everything's just hunky-dory and we got a little coasting. And that's what we did in 2016. Trump came in. Yep. We got apathetic on our side, and we just said, yeah, Trump will handle it. And I think we've learned our lesson. Our lesson. But they're in for a long nightmare, and I think that James Carville predicting that the Trump party, the Republicans would be, the Trump White House would collapse in 30 days. I think James has been drinking a little bit too much. I think he had the wrong party in mind. But my point to you and question to you is this. Of all these cabinet positions, I think Kash Patel was the most scariest. And then to add insult to injury to the Dems, Trump put Bongino as his FBI deputy director. Can you imagine them two at work right now? And after they targeted Patel, and then we find out yesterday that Heck's death, the IRS, as Biden was going out the door, sicked the IRS on Pete Hegseth's family, his tax returns. Let me tell you something. That is government corruption. That is illegal. Yeah. That is illegal,
Tony.
It
needs to be investigated.
It needs to be investigated.
Absolutely. And those people should be fired. Whoever went after him and his family through the IRS, like they did the Tea Party. Remember?
Just like they did the Tea Party, Lois Lerner.
Yep. Lois Lerner, they did the same thing. And then they tried to pretend, we didn't know, and then plead the fifth and all that. But really what we need to do is we need to go after the congressional elections with the same veracity that we went after getting Trump elected.
Amen, buddy.
Even more so.
Come on.
Even more so because Trump won't be as effective if we don't have the House. And so all the election, all the troops out there that were responsible for getting Trump elected, that needs to be on steroids to get that House back to where we have a large enough majority. Because as soon as if we lose that majority, impeachment start right away.
They do.
Impeachment
Absolutely.
start right away.
And it will cripple everything that he's done. And I think that's one of the reasons I think that he's not letting grass grow under his feet. I think that I think this was planned out, buddy. He had it feet day one. This is what I'm doing. And I just think that he has been quietly working in the background, and he knew the people he wanted. He knew the people he could trust. And that's the other thing I've seen about this cabinet that's been different than the first one. They're working together. They're not working apart. The media's trying to throw little stories out there that they're arguing and bickering behind the scenes. And Tony, look, if me and you work together, there'd be days that me and you wouldn't see eye to eye on stuff, and we talk and get it worked out and move on. But our vision would be the same. And that's any White House.
We spreadsheet it.
We spreadsheet it.
Yeah, we don't agree on this. We want this. We agree on these things, so that's it. Whereas a lot of times with the Republicans, if you didn't agree with everything they do, they try to throw you out.
Yeah, and I think that's a little different this time. And I think that, I think the scrutiny, I think these cabinet members understand that Trump means business, and if they screw around, and look, he's already fired the ICE director. He's not the director, but the ICE, the head of the field person over ICE, and he said, "Look, you wasn't getting this done quick enough." And Trump ain't playing around, and these people had better understand. You're either going to march with the commander in chief, or the commander in chief's going to make you walk the plank, and let the media. And this is what I love about him right now. In the past, he didn't understand D.C. He didn't understand the media. I don't think he expected them to be as vicious on him like they were. Well, he's got his cannons loaded with this bunch, and he's got it down. And I like the way he's flooding the zone to where before they can hardly react to one thing, he's doing something else. Absolutely.
And then they start to react on that, and then he's nailing them with something else, and that's the way he has to do it. And the media has lost all credibility. ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, all of them have lost such credibility. Nobody but sycophants and people you're not ever going to convince anyway are the only people watching them. The media has changed. It's gone to this alternate media podcast. You have Dan Bongino, who was just put on as the what do you call it for cash?
The FBI deputy director. He's the FBI deputy director. Yeah.
And then you have War Room. You have shows like yours, and it's so much out there that people, they already know that when they watch CNN, even the people who are sycophants, they know when they watch CNN or MSNBC, they're not getting the truth.
No.
And sometimes they have to go find it somewhere. And the truth is being flooded, and they can't avoid it. They can lie all they want, but then they find out, wait a minute, that isn't exactly true. My cartoons are just a small, tiny little piece of that. All I do is illustrate one solid point that I want to get out there for the day. But I'm really happy to see these podcasters and this alternate media really taking off.
Well, I may need to bring you back on next week just for the sake, because I know you'll be busy this weekend, on Joy Reid's departure at MSNBC, Mrs. White Tears herself. And we got some video of her tonight, and we had some last night. But I tell you what, I didn't realize how very little friends she had in the media. The only people that are defending her right now is Don Lemon and Rachel Maddow. That's it. And even the people at MSNBC, Tony, you don't see too many people even sharper than them. They're very careful to say something right now because I think they know they're on the chopping block. So I think that, Lester Holt's out at NBC. Acosta's gone. And a lot of these hacks are gone.
Rancid, racist hacks is what they are.
That's all they are.
Joy Reid is the most hateful, spiteful, rancid, racist commentator that was out there in the mainstream media. And, Rachel Maddow is a close second, I think, and a liar, and the drama that she throws out there, trying to quote it in some kind of facts, but they're not facts. They're just elaborating and pontificating on things that are loosely knit together to try to get a narrative going, but they can't because people don't believe them. They know they're lying. They lied so much about the Russia collusion, the Hunter laptop, COVID. All people are just done. Majority of the people are just done, and they're getting more done. You see, Trump's approval rating is just
soaring
high.
Well, let me just interrupt you, not interrupt you, but interject this. We're going to talk about this for a minute. The biggest issue, it seems, that he really resonated the nation with is this men in sports thing.
Yeah.
I was watching Kayleigh McEnany tonight, and she was talking about how that there were liberal women that were basically in sports, and when Trump came out and he said, I am not going to allow men, biological males, to participate in women's sports under no circumstances. And if these states allow them to do it, I'm going to cut their money off. Well, he promised them. This is not something that should take people by surprise. It's what he promised he would do. And I saw one of the comments, and I should have taken a screenshot of it, but this young lady wrote a post, and she says, I was a Trump hater. And when I heard him defend our right to be in fair sporting events, she realized that he was no longer fighting for his party, he was fighting for us. And we don't get 8 out of 10 people to agree the sky is blue in this country. And 80%, Tone, even the CNN poll, man, 78% support Trump's work in that. And you know what that tells me? It's sort of what you just alluded to in many ways. We know the media has been lying, but we're also sick of this DEI woke pile of TURDSH. And we're tired of the bullshit. Speaking of that, I got to show them this beautiful cartoon. We're going to talk about Adam Schiff here in a minute. But are you in agreement that I think that the country got so vomiting sick of this kind of perversion that they said, you know something, we do not want any more of this, and we are sick of it. Even I think many on the left are sick of it.
Listen, look what they're forced. Trump has forced them to defend.
That's so true.
Open borders. Over 100 to 200,000 people dying of fentanyl coming across the border. Human trafficking, where 300 and some kids are missing. 300 and some thousand kids are missing. Defending men and women's sports. Defending waste, fraud, and abuse, defending DEI. They are so far on the wrong side of history and politics right now, and we have to keep up the pressure. We can't stop. We can't let them get that little. Right now, I can feel it. Right now, they're coming in way. Well, it's not that he's doing that. It's how he's doing it. See, that's their little. They see a little crack in there, so they're going to put a little wedge in there. See, and try to get everybody to feel sorry for all these people losing their jobs. They didn't care about people losing their jobs when they shut down the XL pipeline.
And let me give you a better one, buddy. They didn't care about people losing their jobs in 2020 and 2021. You've got people right now still out of work from the COVID hoax and all this vaccination hoax. And if you didn't take a vaccine, you lost your job. And now all of a sudden that everybody's crying oppression. When all Trump wants them to do, and Elon, the DOGE wants them to do, the DOGE, I love that word, DOGE. A pile of DOGE.
Don't let the DOGE out.
Don't let the DOGE hit you. Who let the DOGE out? Don't let the DOGE hit you on the backside when you go out the door. Yeah. They can't even fill out an email, Tony, telling them 5 things they've done, and they're calling that oppression. But I tell you what, the left didn't care about these jobs. They didn't care about people losing their jobs back in 2020 and 2021.
The hundreds of businesses and the hundreds of businesses that were lost during the riots.
That's exactly right.
About all the COVID businesses that were closed down and bankrupt. No, not a cheer for them. All they were worried, make sure you put on your damn mask. That's what they worried about. Make sure you take the vaccine that didn't work. That's what they cared about. So I'm not losing tears over this at all. Nobody else should. Government workers who aren't working and aren't showing up to work and can't fill out an email. Hey, I'm sorry. When I worked in the corporate world, I always had to fill out these weekly things of what was sold, what I did, where I went. I always had to do it. I don't understand what's so big about answering an email.
Let me ask you this, because this is a little more complicated. I've got a family member, and I don't want to get into the weeds with this too much, but I just say this, that they did do their jobs from home. They worked. And there are some people that were actually not freeloading off the government. Is there any part of this that you think they could maybe find a happy medium on, that if some were affected from home, that they could continue that? Or do you think that this is a good thing, that DOGE just cleans the slate, get you sides back to the office, and let's start again? Well, I know it's a hard question, because I had some people last night that they're concerned about people that are losing their job.
DOGE isn't firing anybody.
That's exactly right.
They go in and show who's working, who's not, how much money is being spent, where the money's going, and then they make recommendations. DOGE doesn't fire anybody. So, yeah, I think that they should be careful not to fire people that are actually doing their job, and there's a way to do that, and I'm sure that they're probably considering that. One of the first ways of making sure you don't get fired, fill out the damn email.
Well,
there you go.
Well, it's like
there.
Yeah, it's like Trump said, though. He said if they didn't fill out the email, and they've given him 2 chances. See, Trump's a compassionate dude. I know people call him psychopath and all, but he's compassionate. He's a compassionate tyrant. Okay, he's compassionate Hitler. I saw something. There's a guy on X called Cat Turd. He is the funniest.
What a monster he is.
Oh, what a monster. He said that Elon actually took over the #1 spot, that Hitler was the most evil tyrant of all time. Now Elon has taken over one. Hitler has moved to #2, and Trump has moved to #3 on the list of the left's names. But
Hitler killed, 6 million Jews?
6 million Jews, yeah.
Yeah, and Elon's terminated maybe 6 million people, jobs
that didn't exist. That's what Trump was saying today.
Exist. That's it.
Well, he said today, if they can't answer the emails, there's a good chance that some of these emails are going to people that don't even exist.
Just like the Social Security, all those thousands, how many hundreds of people, thousands of people over 150 years old were getting Social Security checks? Who doesn't want to stop that? We know there's nobody in the United States over 150 years old.
Well, they claim I am, but that is fake news. That's all I got to say. They say Chris looks like I'm over 150, but that is fake news. I just want to put that out there tonight.
Yeah. That's funny.
But listen, I want to ask you another question, and this gets into the judicial weeds a little bit tonight. And I got your cartoon up. I love it. The shift's about to hit the fan. And I told a friend of mine, Jason Miller, yesterday, we were talking, and I said, I came so close last night. I said, I was in one of my moods, and I said, I almost said that he is shifting in his pants. I think that he's very nervous right now. I want to get your opinion about the Epstein list, the RFK list, the JFK files. There was a little blow-up tonight by Representative Paulina Luma. Yeah, I'm sorry, Paulina Luma down in Florida, claiming that Bondi was slow walking the release, and some of the folks that were interacting with her said, "Look, the president has signed off on this, but there's a process, and I think that our side needs to be patient." Tony, this is what I'm going to say, and I know some people may disagree with this out there, and that's fine. I would rather them go slow and do it right, to
Absolutely.
Not get their foot stuck up their rear and to step in a pile of shit.
Well, they could end up having tons of lawsuits. Simply, let's say a guy took a flight with Epstein. I'm not saying he was legitimate or that he wasn't involved, but he simply took a flight somewhere, with Epstein, was on the flight log, did nothing wrong. And then they loop him in with all these pedophiles.
That's right.
I think they need to investigate each one of these people on the flight logs, and make sure because you start releasing names, people's lives could be at stake, their livelihoods, their families. So you have to, like you said, you have to make sure. But I do think at some point, the people that are guilty should be released.
I do too. I'm not calling for any kind of slow walk in this, and I don't want to leave the impression that this is not important. And look, if there is something out there that has been the most tawdry, dirty, evil enterprise in this country, is pedophilia. There is nothing more despicable to me than the abuse, the sexual exploitation, the raping, and the mutilation, and the gender mutilation, and God knows the sodomy of these kids, and God knows what nightmares these girls and these children had on that island down there. And I want people to freaking hang from nooses. I do. I want justice, man. But justice has never gone fast. And again, I'm going to say this to our side. You got a bunch of apes out there. It's like a bunch of kids taking their little toys and beating them on their table and say, "We need it now. We need it now. We need it now." And if you get it now, you're not going to get justice. And just to salivate this crap bunch out there on X that wants some blood, be patient and stop acting like petulant children and let Pam Bondi do her job, let Patel do their job, and just be patient. It's coming.
She's just been in there, what, a week? A week? Everything has to be done through the legal maneuvers. You don't want to have a bunch of pedophiles running loose because they didn't cross their I's and dot their T's.
No, that's right, bud. And that's happened before. Yeah. And I'm like, I do believe that Schiff's nervous, and I think what he's more nervous about ain't even the list, but it's the 256 emails that supposedly have been found by Patel that was interacting. And see, that's where they're going to get these people. Because I think that in that list, Tony, it's not just a list of names. I think those files contain the correspondence between these corrupt people, whether they be politicians, religious leaders, or whatever.
We'll say this. If you say this, I'll accuse you of this. If you say that there's evidence here, I'll reinforce it. It's kind of like I would like to get all the emails from the mainstream media that helped set this up, where the FBI fed the media a bunch of stuff, and then the media regurgitated, and then the FBI came back and said, well, we have to investigate it now. A lot of the leaks and just it's discouraging that our government came that far, especially our FBI, because at one time it had really high respect. It is almost nothing now. And I know that Kash Patel is going to try and clean that up.
I believe he will, and I think that of all the things that you think Patel is going to get to the bottom of, what would be, Tony, other than the Epstein list, we've just talked about that, what would be the other thing that you really hope that he addresses? My personal thing is the Russian collusion stuff. I think that people need to be in jail for that, and these FBI agents that spied on Trump. And then James Comey, we're going to have some video coming up. We got an extended McFiles tonight after you, and look, they are officially investigating Comey. Basically the story tonight. This is not rumor. This is reported fact in Gateway Pundit and Breitbart, that he basically sent 2 honeypots, basically planted them in the Trump campaign in 2016 to basically use sex to get information from any Trump operatives that they could use on Trump, and to put in the media to destroy Trump, and evidently they wasn't successful. And that was discovered through the thing. And the other thing I want to ask you about is this destroying evidence. There's also a report tonight that at 3 a.m. last night, like in the morning of today, there were top generals, Pete Hegseth found generals deleting files and deleting sheets of paper, incriminating evidence against the DOD and other of these people, in the hopes that all the evidence could be basically shredded and there'd be no proof. And they found him. They're in their investigation tonight too. Look, I think Pat Patel is there's a favorite movie of mine called Tombstone. And my favorite line, among many favorite lines in that, my best line is Doc Holliday when he tells Ed, he said, Ed, if you wasn't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. I wish I could say that sometimes to many. But the other favorite line is, you tell them I'm coming, and hell is coming with me, because that's what Doc Holliday told the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I think Kash Patel has put Washington, D.C. on notice, and these crooks, I'm coming, and hell is coming with me. And it's got people scared tonight. It's palpable fear in D.C. and these politicians, and you can see it.
You can.
Go ahead.
You can see the fear in Schiff's eyes when he was out there screaming in front of the FBI.
Yes, he was.
And you could see the fear in Schumer and all these Democrats out there protesting DOGE for finding fraud. That says a lot right there. Instead of standing back, they're protesting. They're not standing back going, yeah, we agree with the whole DOGE thing, finding waste, fraud, and abuse. But, I think they should slow it down, make sure that they do it right. They didn't say that. They're out there attacking him. And I would like to see them get right down to the nitty-gritty of what Hillary had to do with this, with her, everything from busting up her phones, bleach bit, all this, her connection to McCain, her connection to what was the guy over there, the British spy guy that tried to connect all this, made up all this.
The dossier report, yeah.
Yeah, the
Christopher Steele.
Yeah, the dossier, the phony dossier that was used to create a FISA warrant to spy on Trump's campaign. That is what we know. That isn't hyperbole. That's what we know. And to get into the nitty gritty and find all the people and connect all the dots, I think that's what Kash Patel's going to do. And you're right. They are scared, and they should be, because heads need to roll. It needs to be done in such a fashion that nobody in this country, Republican or Democrat, ever try this shit again. Oops, sorry.
No, that's okay. No. They've heard worse. Don't worry about it. They've heard worse. They've heard worse on the Mac. It's okay, bro. It's all right. It's a Tuesday night Mac. We got adults in the house, and if they're kids, just we're sorry that Tony's a shit for the KIDSs out there. That's just go ahead and protect.
I should have said so they never try this
shift again. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway. We're okay. Trust me, they've heard worse. They have heard worse through the years here on the network.
I'm sure you've been pretty angry over the years.
I didn't do as angry as Stewart did last night. Did you see that? He busted the glass and broke his hand. He was trying to make a point and busted the glass and he's bleeding. But I do want to ask you another thing about these intelligence agencies. Are you? I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but I really want to do it to discuss it with you. Are you okay with the house cleaning that's going on in the CIA, the NSA, the DNI, the FBI, and all of the intelligence? It looks like from top to bottom they are firing these bureaucrats, and they're starting at the top and working down, brother. And I tell you, I got a dear friend. He's a former CIA operative, and I would love to get him on before he goes into surgery to talk about this, because it's getting real in these agencies, Tony. But he told me 6 years ago when I first met him, he said the only way that you're going to see change in America is if you take the top 5 to 10 levels of people in every security agency,
right down the
clean
line.
it out, and start over. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening, it seems to be right now in D.C.
Well, Kash said it himself. You have to get in there and pull it out root and branch. I remember him saying that. And he's so right, because it's been so corrupted from the top down. Politics and money is like a disease in Washington. So I don't feel bad for them going in. I would like to make sure that they're because there are a lot of good people in the FBI, in the CIA. So I don't know if you have a litmus test or just reading their emails and going over who they voted for. I don't know about that. But finding out especially I would start at who had what to do with the corruption as far as the Russia thing, the dossier report. Find those people that had any connection to helping doing that. and then they're also in the DOJ. The prosecutors for the J6 were just fired.
Right,
They were claiming that they had no reason to fire them. Well, they were temporary. They were temporary prosecutors. They weren't there. The DOJ hired them to prosecute the J6 people. They were temporary. Now they're boo-hooing because they were fired, and they think they were fired because of Trump's bias against. Well, no. What do you need the J6 prosecutors for if there's no more J6 to be prosecuted?
Well, and the other thing I think that that they need to look at is Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is very blunt, and I'm not for one regime coming in and going after the one before it. But I will tell you this, Tony, you said something a while ago. If this bunch gets in power and Trump's still living and the MAGA community is still together, we can pretty much be sure retribution is coming. And if you don't clean these bureaucrats out now, get this evil out of our government. Because, you see, I don't think the true patriots of this country, we're not looking for revenge. But what we're looking for is a sense that justice has been served on evildoers. Any society that does not punish evildoers, Tony, will succumb to the evil.
Right.
There's never been a society yet that's been lawless that has survived. And you cannot continue to let people in government do what they've done. And I think, and even if, and I'll use Hillary. I'll go back to Hillary. And then we're going to get on Elon again a little bit. I want to talk to you about a few things there with him. But even if they don't put her in jail, I want the truth. And I think you're with me on this. I at least want the disclosure of what she knew and what she did do and what happened. And maybe perhaps if this is all aired out, maybe that's what the country needs, just to take a breath of fresh air and say, okay, now we know. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, whether legally they can do anything to these people with statute of limitations and things like that, that's going to be on Pam Bondi's desk. And that's going to be on Kash Patel's desk. But we need to know and get to the bottom. And somebody...
And that the media is going to take whatever they find. They're going to say, well, that's just because they're biased against Democrats and they're coming up with all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. So it needs to be out there in the air so that people have access to know exactly what happened. Now, Victor David Hansen talked about this a couple of days ago, and I listened, and he made such a great point. Everybody's saying, well, it's the mega revolution. It's this. No, we're not in a mega revolution. We're in an anti-revolution because we had 8 years of the Obama revolution. And then we had a hiatus with Trump for 4 years where they tried to... Now we know why they were doing what they were doing to Trump. Then we had Obama on steroids throughout the Biden 4 years. So what we're facing right now is a anti-revolution. A anti-revolution. So it's not a revolution. We're trying to correct what the revolution of Obama and the communists did for the last 15 years.
Are you confident changing course?
Counter-revolution. That's what I...
Counter-revolution.
Counter-revolution.
Quick question about Ukraine and Russia. There's reports out this late tonight that there has been an agreement reached with Ukraine on these minerals, and that Zelensky is going to be in the White House this week to sign that agreement. And there's a rumbling, I cannot confirm it, is sort of post on X, but haven't really seen anything confirmed yet. But I'm not saying it's not there, that there is a possibility that Russia and Ukraine are about to bring this to an end officially, because Trump has basically stepped in and been a leader that we should have had all along.
Oh, yeah.
And but are you confident that peace is going to hold with Russia and Ukraine? If we said it.
Praise God. And that's what we should be praying for peace and some resolution to this. I think it's in Ukraine's best interest and Russia's best interest to come to some kind of agreement. Over 1 million people have died. Ukraine has been totally devastated. I mean, even the Russian people are tired of losing thousands and thousands. I mean, what is it, about 500,000 Russians?
At least.
500,000 or 600,000
at least.
Ukrainians. it has to be stopped. And I think Trump, he has a talent for this kind of thing, where he can go in and make it beneficial for Russia and beneficial for Ukraine to stop. And I don't know how that's going to be done, because I'm not the expert here. But if anybody can do it, I think Trump can, because Biden. We all know Biden was just a fossil in there. He had no brain, nothing. In fact, I saw today in the media where they were interviewing Trump, or Trump was talking, and they asked him about the cabinet meeting they're having. And he said, "Will you be presiding over the cabinet meeting?" He said, "Yeah, of course I'll be presiding over this. It'll be the first time in 4 years where the president's actually presiding over a presidential cabinet meeting."
That's the truth there. Well, I'm with you, and I think that you got this, and the cartoon speaks for itself. Both Republicans and Democrats, they hated Trump so much, they wanted this war to keep going. They did. And they don't want to give Trump any victory. But I will say this, and we're going to move on to Elon and wrap this up tonight. We got to get you back on, man. It's been good stuff tonight, as it always is. It's always good to have you.
Enjoy it.
And I lost my train of thought about Ukraine, but I know what I was going to say. Look, I don't trust Vladimir Putin past his camera. He's a KGB thug, but I'm going to tell you something. I trust Zelensky less. And I think that we have been extorted. People can say what they want to about Putin. We've not been sending Putin close to $50 billion of our money.
Mm-mm.
We've been sending it all to Ukraine. And
they're not even getting most of it.
And they're not getting most of it. And there's a lot of this money that Elon is finding out, Tony, they can't even account for. They don't even know what. Even Zelensky's over there saying, we never got that. And these checks were earmarked for Ukraine. And they're even complaining, hey, we didn't get that kind of money. We don't know what you're talking about.
They said, we only got $70 billion. I mean, where's the other $300 billion?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good question. And wouldn't it be a peach if it's found out that, again, the Biden crime family had something to do with that, and so forth. All right, now, got a question for you. If they are demonizing Elon tonight, as they are, and he's only dealt with 3 agencies, if you get down to it, the USAID, the Department of the Treasury, and the Department of Education. He's trying to get at these student loans to see what kind of malfeasance is there. They won't let him right now. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the explosion that's about to hit when he turns his attention to Congress and starts investigating all these deals under the table that they have had, including this wet stone, the piece of trash out in Washington? And I hate to use that term, but he passed bills that put $24 million, almost not 24, but $2.4 million in the hands of a nonprofit that was run by none other than his wife. And it was a ocean study nonprofit. And I saw it on Jesse's program tonight, Waters, and he was talking about that you can't even go on their website and see that you don't have 5 things that nonprofit did.
Yeah,
that is the corruption that people are sick of.
Your tax money, my tax money. We've been working our butts off, sending. I mean, every April, around April, I have to write this check out, and when I do, I think about how they're spending and wasting it, and they have no care about it at all, because people who spend their own money on themselves, they're pretty much wiser for it. When people take your money and spend it for other people, they're not as wise with it. And that's where we've come to it. And then they take your money and spend it on themselves. They're not wise with it. So
right.
It's frustrating. And around tax time, people really do get frustrated when they see the waste and no concern for how they're spending it. And it's all mostly on the Democrat side, some Republicans.
But I will say this. I'm not going to let the Republicans off the hook. And I'll tell you why.
No.
Because while this was going on, Republicans could have stopped this.
Yeah.
They could have stopped this. We did not need to be at this point. And my question is, where have been the oversights and the gatekeepers to this money. And look, if the president of the United States feels like he's got to go to Fort Knox to see if our gold is still even there, brother, that's a bunch of thieves. That's just a bunch of, I mean, I'm telling you,
I'm
man.
waiting for that show. I'm getting some popcorn.
We just got a bunch of thieving. That's what you call them, rancid, rabid racists. We got a bunch of thieving crooks in D.C. tonight.
Yeah, we have this complex called Fort Knox, where it's almost, we feel like sometimes that whole apparatus there and that building is there to hide the fact we have no gold.
Yeah. Anyway, Roger wants to ask you a question, and if you got a question or two, folks, we'll take them right now. We're gonna take your questions later, but. What do you think about the German elections? What's your thoughts on that? Is there a change in the leadership, or is that just exchanging one redcoat for another? Because there's things I've heard that's good about this guy, but there's other things I've heard that's not so good. I mean, it's Europe. I mean, it's a mixed bag over there.
We can't equate our politics with theirs.
Their
point. Conservatism is a little bit different than our conservatism. It's kind of like it's conservative in Canada. Is kind of like a middle-of-the-road conservative down here, or
right.
It's not considered the same. They have different priorities, different things. But I like the direction that, because America's kind of lighting a torch. People are seeing Trump. We have huge Trump fans over in Europe, and they're seeing what can happen here and going, wait a minute, that's how you do it. And I'm hoping that it turns out. Their politics is so different, and I don't really keep up with it other than what I hear off to the side. But like I said, I'm hoping that it turns out.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm with you. We'll see how it happens. I do
like the way J.D. Vance went and just spanked him over there with their. Did you see that last speech? That
oh man,
over there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
He had him crying. He literally had him crying. So
yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. There was another question I wanted to run by you real quick here. Let's see here. Roger says, how many top-level people in our intelligence agencies that are let go would give out our government secrets to other countries for profit and revenge? I'll tell you, Roger, I'll answer that and I'll let Tony chime in. A lot. Jesse Waters reporting tonight that the CIA has been sending cryptic messages to Trump through CNN that basically says, if you keep dismantling us, we're coming after you, and we will sell secrets to your enemies. In other words, they are threatening to do just that. And that shows you what kind of traitorous blanks.
Yeah.
And I'll let them fill in the blanks what I would add there.
You're just
traitorous
the point
blanks.
Of the deep state. You're
Come on.
proving the deep state point.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what we've been saying all along. You had no allegiance to Americans. Your allegiance is your power and your deep state apparatus. And to make that kind of threat means you have no loyalty to the United States or the Constitution.
And they never have.
Those people need to be rooted out. They need to start doing internal. You know how these police stations have internal investigations? They need to step that up big time.
Well, another one, I'm going to play the video here after you leave, is Smallwell or Stillwell or whatever his name is. Thing. Would you like to get the dirt on that situation? And Nick Sator, he has become the new darling of X, and Elon retweets him quite a bit. He confronted Mr. Thing last night, and he didn't like it too much. And that's the other thing. And I've got sort of mixed feelings about confronting people in public and getting up in their cage. But Tony, honestly, they've done it to us, and I think that I've seen this last month and a half. These Democrats, they can dish this stuff out, but man, I tell you what, when you turn the big balls on them, and there's a play on words, I got the cartoon up. Wasn't that ingenious? What Elon, one of these nerds. That's the other thing. I'm just laughing about. You got a bunch of nerd kids that are doing this. You got a bunch of 21-year-old nerds, geniuses. Techie geniuses.
Find all this stuff in just a few minutes. They're they've come up with all this fraud, waste, and abuse, and thank God for them, because there's no other way we're going to get to the bottom of this, to all this waste and corruption, if we don't have something like this. And they can scream all they want. They've got 4 years of screaming to do.
Yeah, Corey Aguilar, good to see you. She says Zelensky is playing the martyr to gain sympathy from Europe. Fine by me, as long as we don't end up sending them any more money. I'll agree with that. Liz Goldman says, have you ever been targeted by the left for your cartoons, or have they tried to censor you? I think you can say, yeah, I think they have, hadn't they? Because they've went after you quite a bit.
I was just banned from LinkedIn.
Really?
For a cartoon I did like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did a cartoon 2 years ago. It was on LinkedIn. It was on Facebook. It was on all these. And I put it back up there because it was the end of the Biden regime.
Yeah.
And it was a cartoon about how he has destroyed America. It had Hunter in it. It had all the devastation, the open borders. It had everything you could imagine that he's done in partake, women's sports, everything. And it was like a junkyard full of his stuff. And they took it down and said it didn't comport to their standards. And he took it down, and they just stripped my site. And I had thousands of people over there. And so if anybody sees anybody over there on LinkedIn, but that's not the only time I've been in jail through Facebook for my cartoons. And that's what really gets me, is a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
A cartoon. Not you're not reporting something that's false. You're making a comparison, or you're illustrating a situation, and a lot of times cartoons are exaggerated in a sense to try to get that point across. And it's amazing how far the left, and I don't trust Zuckerberg. I think he's a phony. He's trying to play Trump. I think Trump is going to be playing him. All these oligarchs like Bezos and Apple, even Apple's coming through on some nice things with bringing in some factories and things to make phones. I don't know what they're to do, but I don't trust any of them. So I take them with a grain of salt. I don't know who owns LinkedIn. I heard Bezos bought them out, but whoever's running it, they're still doing it. Although Facebook has claimed that they've turned around. My viewership and share ratio and comments have exploded on Facebook in the last week or so. So I see a little bit of improvement.
But you would think, and I'm glad you brought up Zuckerberg, you would think that at this point they would be scared to do that kind of crap, Tony, because they know Trump will bust. He will break these media platforms. I'm telling you, that's the other thing that's coming. This purge that is going on tonight is in all facets of this left-wing lunacy. Mm-hmm. And these platforms that are doing this, I think that they better rethink that. Because
but don't trust them, because as soon as we lose power, or the left gets back in power, they're going right back.
They're going to go right back at it. I'll agree,
because they're lefties, or I don't know what they are. I think they're just for themselves. They're not for America. I don't think they're for anybody but their own profits. And whoever's in charge of the boat is where they're going to go. So when Biden and the Democrats and Obama were in charge, they flowed with them. Now that Trump's in charge, they're kind of flowing with him. So you can't trust them. Hopefully we can hold on to power for the next decade or so.
I hope so. We got a good vice president. And next time we're going to talk about JD. Now listen, you need to do an update of McDonald here. So, you've got my permission to come up with your own rendition of the dumbfoolery redo. Dumbfoolery we don't use as much. We've got a little thing that, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? And it's elementary, my dear Watson. I'll send you some McDonaldisms of last year, and I'll let you do your work. That was an award-winning cartoon. I'll find it one of these days. But I appreciate you being with me tonight, man. This has been a good discussion.
Very rarely do people compliment me on how I've drawn them.
With this face, Branco, let me tell you something. Your cartoon was an improvement. So I will definitely compliment you. And I look better as a cartoon than I do in person. So you doggone right I'll compliment you, bro.
And you sing really good, too. I enjoyed your song.
You know, people are always asking out there, who's singing that? And I just sit there and laugh. I'm smiling. I'm not saying nothing because I want to see what they say first before I tell them it's me, because they might say, that sucks, you know. So, but listen, buddy, I hope to see you this year.
If they say it sucks, you can tell them I sang.
That's a deal. That's a deal. Buddy, listen, it's been good stuff tonight. I appreciate you being with me. I'm going to say goodnight to these folks off camera. But listen, today's February. I want to get you back on in March and April. We'll plan a show and try to do these once a month and update your cartoons. But I do want to watch for your cartoon on Joy Reid, because I know you probably got some good stuff coming. Comicallyincorrect.com is his website, guys, and he's got a book that you can order that's got some of his cartoons in it. So please order some products from the site, and you'll enjoy the site. You're always
go to Branco Toon Store.
Branco Toon Store.
Look for it. I have a calendar up there. I have a few mugs, and I have some stuff up there. We're getting it ready.
Yeah,
we're going to improve on it.
Char's going to ask a question about the national parks. Char, I'm going to get to that question. I'll just ask you, do you have any comment about them cutting the national parks? I'm going to just come out and tell you, and Char will address it in a minute. It's about money. It's about money. They're losing money. They lost $23 million last year. And it's about economics. This is not personal. There are people out there trying to make it personal. It's not personal. You're losing money. The post office is losing money. And this is why things have got to get put in order. And if something's losing money, you find out why it's losing money. And if it's the employees, you cut the reason you're losing money. I know that's harsh to some. It's harsh, but it just is what it is.
Trump doesn't think emotionally. He thinks in spreadsheet.
Yes, he does, Tony. That's right.
Everything's spreadsheet. That's why JFK was suing him, but then he gave him a ride on his jet, or gave him let him use one of his jets to get somewhere where he needed to go, even while he was suing. JFK Jr. says, I'm suing you, right? Oh, yeah, but that's no big deal. He still let it. He doesn't think emotionally about these things. Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't hold a grudge, and I'm not saying certain things don't bother him, but he's thinking in terms of spreadsheet. And I think our national parks are going to stay open. I don't think. I do too.
I don't think it's about closing them, but look, you gotta cut the fat. And Tony, it's the same thing with these federal workers. Look, 1 million of them have already taken the buyout, but there's 2 million federal workers in D.C. And Trump, he's going to get this bureaucracy out of there one way or the other. People can go kicking and screaming and get with the program. And look, this is the way I look at it. We have been the bureaucrats all over this country in every department have been given an open checkbook for 30 years, 40 years. They've been handed a credit card with no limit on it, with no kind of stipulation. They've spent and spent and spent and spent and done all their little playhouses. They have been corrupt. And now all of a sudden, somebody's asking to see the bill, and they don't want the bill to be seen. And we're seeing what they were spending it on. And Trump is saying, you know something? We're not going to keep doing this. That's just fiscal responsibility.
It's just like when they did in Israel, they did the building over there.
Right.
What kind of building? It was can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a building that they were going to build, and they moved the embassy building. They were going to move it from
Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
To Jerusalem. And they said, well, how much is the building going to cost? And they said, well, it's going to be some odd $1 million. And he said, no, we can do it a lot cheaper. And then they found a building that was not occupied, and they used that. He's always seems like he's trying to save money.
Save money. And that's just a businessman. Yeah, it's a business thing.
It's just innate. It's like it's a part of his DNA.
Well, and I think that, and I'm saying this because I got some dear friends, I've got family that are affected by these cuts, but it's not personal. And that's what we on the right need to understand tonight. And I know it seems on the surface like it is. It's not personal. It's business. We are a business. This country cannot keep operating on emotion, and it cannot keep operating on DEI and wokeness and hiring people that don't even know how to add 2 and 2. If Trump went out there and said 2 and 2 is 4, you'd have some nut out there arguing with him that 2 and 2 is 4. That's probably making a government paycheck.
They would. And I also understand that a lot of these people that are necessary or people that are in the government that are doing a good job aren't going to be laid off, aren't going to be fired. And some of them may end up being hired back if they were let go.
Yeah.
So these are growing pains. We've had 50, 60, 70 years of corruption in our government and no regard to the taxpayers' money. Just tons of money coming in. Let's throw it here. Let's throw it there. Now we have somebody that's thinking responsible about our tax dollars, and that's refreshing. Yeah, everybody should be happy about that.
Dennis Floyd says you've got a lot to work with here with McDonald, and that you do, Branco. That you do. But Elaine's asking a question. One final question for you: are you writing another book anytime soon?
I've been working on it for a while. I'm trying to find a publisher that's willing to get involved with it, but I just haven't. It's a lot of work on my part as far as putting it together and distributing the book. I had a distributor a few years ago that was responsible for printing it and distributing it and all that. So all I had to do was just throw in the cartoons and find somebody to do the forward and put it together, so to speak.
Okay,
but good. I'm kind of looking for that right now. I've got a few options that I'm considering. It's time. It's been about 3 or 4 years since my last book. But I do have a calendar at Branco Tunes.
Oh, I'm gonna get that. I'll get that.
Yeah, Branco Tunes store.
Okay, I'll check it out because I wouldn't mind having that, and we'll put it up around the house here. Listen,
this picture I have back here.
Yeah.
You see back here.
Yeah, with the eagle.
That's on coffee cups. I even made a blanket. People can buy a blanket. Coffee cups, that. Mouse pads.
Yeah.
And we're looking at getting cell phone covers for it too. We've had a lot of people really like that painting. It's a painting I did years ago, back in 2009, I believe.
I'm just highly offended that my dumb foolery portrait is not behind you. That's all I got to say, Branco. I'm just highly, I'm doged. You've doged me tonight. You have just doged me, Branco. That's a new term. You've been doged. You've been doged, McDonald. You've been doged. Hey, one final quick question, 30-second answer. Of all the cabinet members, okay, is there anybody that you're not happy with? And I do want to ask you about RFK Jr. next time, because we didn't even get into the health side of this. Yeah. I'm okay with RFK. There's a lot of people that ain't. I'm okay with it.
As long as he sticks to that
one thing, he's good. And I think that's what Trump has told him, too. Trump said, do not get involved with my abortion stance. Do not get involved with anything else. I'm here for you to do one thing is make America healthy again. And stay to that. We're going to get along fine. But is there anybody else that gives you any kind of pause?
I had reservations on one or two of them. I can't even think of who they are right now. But overall, I have to let Trump do his thing. He has a reason for some of this. He's done so many. Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth, Bongino. I mean, there's so much there. This is the dream team Justice League, man. So if you get one that's kind of, I'm sure the others will bring him along or her along. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. And listen, I'm grateful for you. And again, we'll be having you back on soon. I want to talk to you about Israel. We haven't even gotten into that, and Trump's over Middle East plans and things like that. And that we could be on here for 3 hours. And at this rate, by the time we get to talking, there might be like another month and a half of this, Branco. We'll have to have a 3-hour show just to talk about what's happened from tonight over the next month and a half, bro.
That's true.
So
more cartoons.
More cartoons, man. Listen, you be safe out there. Be blessed, and I hope to see you soon this year. in person, man. God bless, Tony.
I will. Thank you very much.
ComicallyIncorrect.com, folks. Put that in your web browser and let Tony know how much you're glad he's on the McFiles tonight. Put some fire in that house. Tony Branco, we'll see you again soon, buddy. God bless. Good night. Thank you for being with me. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house. That's my dear buddy. And let me get over here and let me see if my computer will not freeze on me now. Come on. There we go. Voila! What a good guy right there. And all I got to say to what he said tonight.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. I'm going to get right to it. We're running late. It's already an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm going to keep you a little late tonight. If you need to go to bed in the East, that's fine. But you West Coast folks, y'all just getting settled in for TV time at 8 o'clock anyway. So this is our late night. We're officially in the McFiles late night mode. And we're just doing one show instead of doing two. So we'll consider this our late show tonight. But we do have a lot of stuff to share with you. And did you enjoy Tony? My goodness, put some fire in that house. And so forth. Sheriff says they need to triple the national park entrance fees. Then it would increase income and cut back on the crowds. Sure, why would we want to cut back on the crowds? I don't understand why you'd want to cut back on the crowds. I mean, look, I think Trump, they know what they're doing. I think we just need to be patient, and I think Tony said it at the end, even about the cabinet. You know, not everybody's going to be happy with every cabinet pick, and there's going to be things that Elon Musk does that not everybody's going to understand and do. And this national park issue, we got to ask this question. I don't know if USA Strong is out there tonight. He sent that question in. They sent that question in last night on X about the parks, and I think that they had overdone it with the cuts. And I don't. Look, if you're $23 million in debt and you've lost that kind of money, same thing with the post office, something's got to give. And sure, let me tell you this, if they don't do something, there ain't going to be no national parks open at all. Because they will have to shut them down. And, you know, we here in Tennessee, we don't have to pay fees, but we do have to now pay a parking fee. That's how they're getting us. You have to get a parking pass to go park in the mountains now. Because we've got the Great Smoky Mountain National Park here. It's beautiful. I'm a photographer, and I've taken so many beautiful photos there through the years. And just, you know, I've been here 20 plus years, and it's still breathtaking to me every time I go through Cage Cove and Clingman's Dome and the Newfound Gap area up there on the top of the hills and Cherokee. You know, I always see something that I've never seen before. But, you know, it takes the upkeep of rangers. You have to pay rangers, and there's other maintenance with the roads and things, and you know, tripling the fees. Oh, that's gonna. I don't see where that's gonna help anything. That's just my opinion, and again, everybody's entitled to theirs. But I think that they've got to do something, and you know, I put it like this: if there's anybody that can do something that's going to be good for it, is Donald Trump. I've got confidence in President Trump that he's going to do this right. Now, again, he's not God, and he's not, you know, he's not divine. He's just a man like I am, and he's going to make mistakes. And I want to say that tonight, folks. I don't know what it is about our side that we expect him to be. There's certain groups of people out there that expect him to be sinlessly perfect, politically perfect, morally perfect. That they expect this level of perfection out of him that they can never live up to themselves. That's hypocrisy. In other words, when you expect something of somebody else, you expect a certain level of somebody else, but you yourself fall so short. And I don't care if they're leaders or whatever, folks. Our leaders need our prayer. That's why Paul said, pray for those over you, that you might live peaceably on this earth. And, you know, we don't pray for our leaders. Some people do, but most don't. Most, all they do is sit back on their seat of derriere and Monday morning quarterback everything they do, every person they pick, everything around them, everyone around them, and that's all they do. They find low-hanging fruit, and they just go to town, and they chew it up, and they spit it out. They're not thankful for a thing. They're not thankful the country's in the place it is tonight. They're not thankful for anything that God has blessed us with the mercy that He gave us in November. That's all they do is complain about everything. Everything. I had lunch with my dear friend Chris Allman today, and we were talking about this very thing with people, certain people out there, not anybody in particular, but just people in general, that are never content, that they would find problems with a running stream of water on a 90-degree day. They would be complaining that the water wasn't cold enough. And folks, Trump is not going to get everything right. And neither is Elon, neither is Cash, neither is Pete, neither is Bondi, neither is Tulsi, neither is RFK. None of them are. And if that's what you're expecting, you're going to be very disappointed. But I remind you tonight, folks, we've got Donald John Trump as our president, not Kamala Harris. That alone should have us all doing nothing but daily thanking God with everything in us that our country has been saved from destruction. I don't know what part of that people don't get. And I certainly don't understand what part of that Christian people don't get. We're not worshiping Trump. We're not worshiping anybody. I'm just grateful that we got a man, a leader in office. A month and 2 weeks, 2 days in, he declares man and a woman are the only genders. And anything else we're not going to support. We're not going to finance it. We're not going to finance any of this woke, liberal, transgenderism, dominism theology. You would think the Christians would be happy about that. Are they happy about that? No. No, they're not happy about that. All they're concerned is whether his spiritual advisors are witch or not. When you had true witches and Satanists in the last administration, and transgenders and homosexuals actually in the White House and in power in the White House. But we just like to tear everything down. We cannot be content with God's mercy on this country, folks. And I'm going to tell you this. That is one disposition you do not want to get yourself on the wrong equation with God about. There is story after story after story in the Bible when God got angry with Israel. But one of the things that got him the most hot at the nation of Israel was her unthankfulness for his blessings, when he would bless her with blessings from above, and she would turn and stick her nose, just stick her hand on her nose, as if she didn't even appreciate the things that God did for her. Anyway, as they say,
elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Be thankful. Be thankful that our country has got a reprieve. And stop expecting this perfection out of your government, folks. It's never going to happen. You've got imperfect men and imperfect women that's running it. And no matter what government is in place, it's always going to be imperfect. Anyway, here is President Trump today talking about Jack Smith. Let's get to the video. We're running out of time. Roll tape.
At the outset of your administration, sir, you committed to ending the weaponization of government, to holding those accountable who participated in the weaponization of government.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening? Deranged Jack Smith. We're going to call it the Deranged Jack Smith signing or bill. Go ahead.
One law firm that provided pro bono legal services to the special counsel's office under Jack Smith's leadership was Covington and Burling. As a result of those actions, we're now going to be suspending and putting under review the security clearances for the attorneys and employees at that firm who worked with Jack Smith's team. And we're going to continue holding the people who were responsible for the weaponization of government, who supported it, accountable for what they did.
And you'll be doing this with other firms as time goes by, right?
We're looking at sort of the whole panoply of options.
The weaponization of our system by law firms, even pro bono work they're doing just in order to clog up government, stop government. And nobody knows about it more than me. And hopefully that'll never happen again.
So Covington and Burlington?
Covington and Burlington.
They assisted Jack Smith in weaponizing the government
May I ask you a question about
against him.
Europe? So long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troops
Wait, I just want to
stationed?
savor this one, please. Who would like this pen? Hey, why don't you send it to Jack Smith,
Vintage Trump.
a deranged person?
And he went on, there was a reporter, and we may have the other video, that was Benny Johnson's video, but there's another video out there that the reporter, likely from a left-wing Loonbomb magazine, said, well, do you believe that this is healthy for the country, targeting Jack Smith? And Trump basically told him, he said, I've been targeted for 4 years. He said, are you joking me? You joking me about being targeted? Don't talk to me about being targeted. You know, here is his assistant, and I murdered her name a while ago. Here's Trump. Let me play this one. This is the video I wanted to play. Same video, but I want you to listen to the whole video, because the end of this, the reporter asked him the question. Here's that video again. Watch this.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening? Deranged.
But listen to the whole thing. Wait to the end.
We're going to go with the deranged Jack Smith signing or bill. Go ahead.
One law firm that provided pro bono legal services to the special counsel's office under Jack Smith's leadership was Covington and Burling. As a result of those actions, we're now going to be suspending and putting under review the security clearances for the attorneys and employees at that firm who worked with Jack Smith's team. And we're going to continue holding the people who were responsible for the weaponization of government, who supported it, accountable for what they did.
And you'll be doing this with other firms as time goes by, right?
We're looking at sort of the whole panoply of options.
The weaponization of our system by law firms, even pro bono work they're doing just in order to clog up government, stop government. And nobody knows about it more than me. And hopefully that'll never happen again.
So that Covington and Burlington, is that?
Covington and Burlington.
Okay.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about Europe? So long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troops
Wait, I just want to
stationed?
savor this one, please. Who would like this pen? And why don't you send it to Jack Smith? A deranged person.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith for
Excuse
his
me,
actions?
I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that.
Come on.
So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
That's how you handle a dumb blank press. That's how you handle a dumb blank question from a dumb blank dumb reporter.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
They have targeted Trump for 4 years and longer. And Kash Patel tonight has been basically putting the players of that on notice that you're not going to just walk away from this. And it's starting with Mr. Jim Comey. I'm not sure what this is. Jesse may be talking about that on this video. This is something I want to...
Over in Atlanta, megachurch pastors
hang on.
mad at the...
Let me stop here. This is the racist pastor. I mentioned to tell you, this was the video we were looking for last night. This was his comments about those attending Black History Month at the White House. This is Jamal Bryant, the illustrious Jamal Bryant. Wouldn't you just love to be part of his church? Woo! Just don't bring a mega hat to Sunday school, because you might not make it out alive.
Over in Atlanta, megachurch pastors mad at a group of Black Trump supporters who went to the White House. Viewer warning, what you're about to hear is extra racist.
I ain't afraid of the spooks that sat at the door. These runaway slaves hiding in the White House. I feel bad for them in the White House who are in there tap dancing for massa, wearing bow ties and grinding, laughing like nothing is funny. Get out of there, Negro, and stand with your people so that you understand
me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something, Mr. Bryant. God's not about race. He loves all races, and he's not on your side. He's not on the white side. He ain't on the black side. He ain't on the Chinese side. He ain't on the Asian side. He's not on the Aussie side. He ain't on the Greek side. He ain't on the Turkish side. He ain't on the any side. And you are a racist fraud. I sent him that message on Instagram publicly. It got taken down. That's all right. I got my 2 cents in.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. Anyway, I'll just leave that alone. But I better not say something that I want to say. I'll get myself in a lot of trouble. Here is Trump's assistant today. This is another way you handle dumb blank reporters. Roll the tape.
Thank you. Can you clarify for federal workers who might be confused who to listen to, since Elon Musk's post is different from what the plans?
All right, now, this is about a 4-minute video. I'm going to play all of it. The question was asking her, can you clarify to the federal workers who are confused about having to answer the email that required them to do 5 things, write down 5 things this week for their job, what they had done this past week. 5 things. Can you help us, the confused out there? Roll tape.
I don't think it's, look, here's the reality of the situation. There's one person we're supposed to be listening to, that's President Trump, and what the American people mandated, which is what we're doing. People need to be accountable. You need to be able to answer the question. If you couldn't answer it yesterday, you have till today. But the reality is, accountability is real. I can't not show up to work every day. I have to answer to the president. And by answering to the president, I answer to the American people. It's very simple. Would you want to pay somebody to do a job and they don't show up to work? I don't think so. I could name 5 things, 5 bullets, in about 5 minutes of me coming into the office every day. If you struggle to do that for a week, there's no excuse for that. Now, you can have an extra day to answer it, but you better be able to answer it.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Can you offer workers that you are confused?
I'm not sure why you're confused or why it's so hard to answer what 5 things you've done in the past week.
I am not sure why you're confused, why it is so hard for you to answer a question. What have you done at work this past week? Can we get an amen in the house? I wished I had my meme up tonight. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Watson.
Play that tape again. Keep going.
What do you say to departments that have told their employees you don't have to answer?
Well, I think that there's reasoning behind that. You have to understand some of these departments, obviously, we work with top secret information that perhaps you're not supposed to disclose. There's a lot of complications that I'm not going to get into, but there's no question that every single cabinet member, every single person that was put into this administration wants the American people working, wants people back to work, wants to stop the Zoom calls, and wants to stop people from double dipping and having 2 jobs when taxpayer dollars are paying for you to come to work.
Is the White House investigating any of the DOGE resistance?
That's a question for DOGE and DOJ.
Are White House staffers included in the ask by Elon Musk? Did you turn in 5 things to President Trump that you did?
I received an email. President Trump knows what I do every single day. So for me to answer that email is incredibly easy. Frankly, the American people see what I do every single day. So it's just such a non-issue. Think about the fact that we're having look at all of you standing here asking me why people are upset to answer to their boss, the American people, and the President of the United States, what you've done at work.
Why is the media upset? Right question. Why are people out there upset at every little thing that don't go their little way? Why are people acting like petulant children that are adults? This is life. This is reality. I know some of you work for a living. Some of you go into your jobs every day. And if you can't tell your boss 5 things that you're doing every day, then probably you're not doing nothing but taking up a chair and them paying you for something you ain't doing. It's called work. It's called a job. And the federal government employees, this is what's happened. They think, and wrongly, because this is the mentality of the left, they think they're entitled not to do something and still get paid for it. And that's been bankrupted this country and that attitude for 50 years. Because that's why our welfare system is broke. That's why let me say it again. That is why our welfare system is broke. Because people have the same mentality out there in that world. There are some people that are legitimately unable to work. But folks, I guarantee you, and when this is what they're scared to death of what they're about to find out, this is what they're scared to death they're going to find out. When they start digging into these welfare rolls and all this Medicare, Medicaid, and the fraud that has been left, I think that we are going to be beyond shocked. I don't want to play the rest of that video. She said what I wanted her to say. She's asking the media a question. I'm asking a lot of our audience tonight, why are we upset about Trump doing his job? You may not like how he's doing his job. And you may think that it's so harsh and mean and all this. If you want to, folks, if he don't do this, we're not going to have a country. We are going to be bankrupt. We are going to be bankrupt. I hope you're with me for a little bit tonight. We're not quite done, but we're getting there. This is, I'm going to talk about the Israeli situation tonight, but I want to show you the meltdown of Weasel Eric Smallwell. Nick Sater confronted him. And then I got some positive things I'm going to show you after this. I do want to show you this one, though. This was priceless stuff. Roll the tape.
So, Congressman, you referred to Elon Musk as a fascist at some point and alluded to him being a national security threat. Do you see that more of a national security threat, you sleeping with a Chinese spy, than transparency in the federal government? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? What's Fang Fang think of that?
What are you doing? This is ridiculous.
What's fascistic about exposing government corruption? I mean, I know you're just at dinner now with a bunch of lobbyists. You know, they're buying you a bunch of booze, and that's awfully nice. I know you were talking about, maybe finding somebody else because you only like to fuck people that are tens. I just heard that one too. So, what do you think about that? Do you want to comment on any of it?
Excuse the language.
Elon Musk is a national security threat, but you sleeping with a Chinese spy is not. Is that correct? You don't want to comment on that at all?
They never do.
Looks like guilty as charged.
We said it last night, folks. These Dems, because he's always out there on these shows. He was one of the Russian collusion voices, accusing Trump of Russian collusion, calling MAGA every name in the book, lying, and all sorts of stuff. But when confronted with Fang Fang, Eric Smallwell gets in his truck. He didn't say a word, did he? I'm not a big fan of this confronting people on the street, but sometimes you can't get to them any other way. And Nick Sator is becoming a famous voice on X tonight because he does this a lot with other ones. But it's telling. It is very telling to watch his reaction. His face was red. It should be. And I pray the FBI when they open in their investigations, that he's on that list. And that needs to be looked into, what Fang Fang got out of him for the sex they had. Just a thought. Just a thought. Pardon the language there. By the way, don't know if you heard about this today. It's getting dangerous to fly, folks. This was a Southwest airline. Watch the tape. Watch this. He had to land and lift it back up. That plane that was coming across the airport, that one on the right over here, that was a near miss today. And they just hit, that was in Chicago's airport. What's going on with our airline people? Not good. Not good. This is Benny Johnson, or Rose, Director Kash Patel has ordered an immediate investigation into 13 congressional Democrats. This was this afternoon for inciting the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump. We are following that story. That will be an ongoing story this week. And that's going to be that. Also, let's see here. A couple of other things. We're going to wrap this up tonight. Let's see here. I do want to read this one, I think. Give me 1 second here. We're almost done. And because I got something solemn I want to go out with tonight before we do this. This is from Don Lucra. Not sure what that means. But this was as of this posted about 8 o'clock. Russia and Ukraine have reached a peace deal thanks to President Trump. Zelensky will be traveling to the United States to sign the deal, which was negotiated with the involvement of President Trump. The terms of the agreement are as follows, and there's just some of that we've listed. Basically, Ukraine's not going to pursue NATO membership. We get the mineral deal. We may even get a mineral deal from Russia. Ukraine will relinquish certain territories. And again, the nuts and bolts of it we'll probably talk about Thursday night. But it is a developing story that there may be an end to this war of Russia and Ukraine. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. This is a video. I want you to listen to this because I got something to say about Israel tonight as we go out. CNN and the BBC, speaking of being nervous, they're much in need to be nervous tonight. There's an investigation going on you've not heard about. That their media outlets were basically helping Hamas on October the 7th, and their journalist was embedded in that massacre, and they were helping identify Jewish families to be attacked in Gaza. This is a gentleman that is speaking to that. Roll the tape.
انت شو وظيفتك بجهاز الثاني؟
متحدث عن الحركة.
من امتى انت بهذه الوظيفة؟
من 2021.
2021 يعني في وقت. في عندك تجربة.
صغيرة.
أنا بدي أفهم كيف بصير إشي اللي بياخذوا موقف أنا بقدر أفرجيك صور اللي بياخذوا أولاد بيوسخوهم كأنه كانوا بعملية. بياخذوا ناس خطيرية كأنه ماتوا وفجأة بيكمل التليفون وبيلعب فيه. شغلات زي هذه بدي أعرف كيف هي بتصير.
لا هي حسب الدائرة أو حسب قرارات الحركة. شايفين في مصلحة معينة لترويج رواية معينة واتفقوا عليها بصير.
أنا ما بقول إنه القرار عندك.
بصير كالتالي من صاحب القرار اللي هو الأعلى الأمين العام زياد النخال. وبعدين بيجي القرار في الدائرة الإعلامية اللي هو علي شهيد. تمام. وداود الشاب في غزة. هذول الثلاثة بصير على تواصل كامل. يعني على الواتس مثلا. تمام. وبتناقشوا في الرسالة.
And what he's saying was that they were communicating through WhatsApp, Al Jazeera, and I know it's hard. We're going to post this video in Telegram overnight. You can see the whole thing because the type down at the bottom, they should have darkened it probably so you could see it. But what he was basically saying, when you get to the end of this, it's about a 7-minute video, and I ain't got 7 minutes, that other news outlets in the West were basically helping Hamas find these Jewish families and reporting falsehoods on this war. And let me tell you why that is so hurtful tonight. It's because of these two right here. Their funerals were held today, and Israel has asked the people. Purim is coming up March 13th and 14th. We will be hopefully in a city that weekend celebrating Purim as one of our conferences in March. Dress up as Batman or a superhero this Purim in honor of Kafir and Ariel Bibas. Their mother was finally brought back Saturday in a very, very bad state. Their bodies, these bodies of these dead hostages, folks, they've been mutilated, tortured. They were choked to death. And again, the media is not reporting this tonight. Hamas didn't even do this. It was Gazan civilians that did the choking. But Hamas did the kidnapping. There are no words. There are no words. Here is a better picture of them right here. I wished I had the video. I had the image of the Argentinian people, and I want to salute President Malaya. They had a national day of mourning for the Jewish victims of October the 7th, and had a parade because they had Argentinian citizenship, there are no words for the disgust that I have, but there's greater disgust for the ones that in this country are silent in the face of this evil. But I want to salute the University of Michigan. They painted their rock of the school orange today, and they put the names of the babies, Kafir and Ariel, and Cherie, that's the mother, Sherry Bibas, who are now laid to rest finally. But the pain of this will remain, and we're going to have more stories on this in the weeks to come, and so forth. I'm out of time. I wish I had more. I've got more video. We'll be back here Thursday night. Now, we may do an afternoon show tomorrow. We've got so much. It's getting to the point we just about have to do 5 days a week. We just do. Wednesdays is usually Faith Day. It will be Faith Day tomorrow. We've got a brand new guest. Gene Albert's going to be with me tomorrow night at 6. You do not want to miss this interview. He is the owner and the curator of the Bible Museum here in Pigeon Forge. And we're going to talk about the Bible Museum, but he's got a tour that he gives people if you want to come down to the hills and see the history of how we got the Bible. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night, the importance of the Word of God, and then our faith show tomorrow night at 8. But around 3 o'clock tomorrow or sooner, we may do an afternoon video show just to catch up on all these videos and talk about that. I'm going to say this about Jamal Bryant. You know, it was sort of the terminology he used, calling them spooks and calling them Negroes, and I don't know what they beeped out. I'm assuming it was the N-word. If a white pastor would have done that, there would be so many calls for his head tonight. And there would be the uproar in the media would be so loud that you couldn't see straight. And I'm going to tell you something else. And this is how I feel about Joy Reid tonight. We still ain't done with Joy. But somebody posted this. I know it's a little tough. But in celebration of Black History Month, Joy Reid is now history. I'm going to tell you what. Joy Reid had this guy on her network. This is why those crocodile tears that you saw last night is nothing but bullshit. Because she had people like Jamal Bryant telling him that he was a true Christian and that his gospel was the real gospel. And these white crackers that are up against you, they're just racist. It was the most racist show on television. So, in equity here on the McFiles, we will celebrate Black History Month and let you know that in celebration of that, Joy Reid is now history.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
And good riddance. And good riddance. All right. We have been going an hour and 48 minutes. I'm going to take one question or two. I don't have time for many questions. I don't have time for many questions. If you've got a question, please put it in. Please, folks, no paragraphs. Keep these statements to a sentence or two, please. We ain't got time, and by the time people read your paragraph, I've said 16 things, and they've missed what I've said. Sentences, most, 1 or 2 max. Peggy, you say, I'd like to see every government credit card canceled. That is what's needed. It ain't going to be what's done. It's not going to be what's done, but I'm with you. That needs to be canceled. We've had a record crowd here tonight. I want to thank everybody on X tonight. And USA Strong, I hope I answered your question. I'm okay with these cuts. I'm okay with the cuts with the parks. Look, it's a financial matter. It's a business matter. It's not personal. None of these cuts are personal. I had Mark Kaysen in the house last night, and Mark has relatives that are being affected by this, and Mark knows how I feel about him as a brother, and we love him, and I'm saddened. Look, my own family, I've got close family that's being affected by this. I talked to them today, and things are about to change in their life because of it, and it's not that we don't have any feeling toward people that are getting laid off and losing their job. But let me remind you, folks, let me remind you as I go out of here, this left bunch that is quackling like hens tonight and screaming to their lungs of how bad this is and how oppressed they are and how discriminated they are and how unconstitutional it is, which is not unconstitutional, how immoral this is and how bad this is. They had no problem celebrating you that would not take the vax losing your job 4 years ago. They had no problem celebrating that. They had no problem walking around telling everybody, if you ain't vaxxed, you're a criminal. You need to go to jail. They didn't have any problem telling people that didn't get the jab and getting the jab and wearing a mask that we were a plague on society and that we didn't deserve to have jobs and we didn't deserve to have family over for Thanksgiving. And we had family members calling us every name in the book, and we were losing our jobs and losing family and losing. So the left had no problem with all that. And now, as they're being held to an account for their jobs, which is what they're being paid to do, all of a sudden, they're concerned about people's jobs. Well, they sure as blank wasn't concerned 4 years ago. And I think I say, as I leave tonight, let the DOGE continue. Let the DOGE continue. Let the DOGE continue. And as I would say, do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I hope you hear them clearly.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
And on that note, I will bid you adieu on this Tuesday night. Did you enjoy Tony Branco? Was he good? Excellent show tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And Wayne says, can we ship Joy and Whippy to Canada? I don't think Canada would have them, Wayne. Just saying, buddy. Just saying. And we'll take your questions, folks. We'll take your questions tomorrow afternoon and maybe Thursday night. Did you enjoy Tony? Good. Some refuse to treat those unvaccinated, Corey. That's very true. How many doctors lost their jobs? How many teachers lost their jobs? How many... they shut the churches down. Couldn't go to church. Churches went out of business. There are some ministries I know tonight that they've not even come back. They shut the doors of the church because people stopped coming, stopped giving, and it destroyed this country, what was done to this country. And I would, speaking of investigations, I think there needs to be a full-fledged investigation into Anthony Fauci. They pardoned him, and maybe they can't do nothing to him criminally. But I tell you what, it will open the door to civil cases. And somebody needs to be held to an account for what took place in this nation 4 years ago. They do not need to walk away from this. But it is so hypocritical to me to see this bunch cackle like a bunch of scalded dogs now that the tables are turned and all Trump is asking for is accountability. You cannot tell me that an adult, we're not talking, he wasn't sending these emails to fifth graders. Do you realize that most fifth graders could tell you what 5 things they've done in their day at school? They could do that in 5 minutes. But you've got adults claiming that this is oppressive and this is just too hard. I can't tell you what I'm doing. I got to play you one funny thing before I leave. I think this is Kramer. Is this Kramer? Yeah, this is Kramer off of the Jerry Seinfeld show. Watch this.
I don't even really work here. That's what makes this so difficult.
That's what makes it so difficult. I'll play that again. This is when you get an email from Elon.
I don't even really work here. That's what makes this so difficult.
That's what makes this. He was getting fired by that way. That's what he was doing. He was getting fired. So that's what's going on in D.C. tonight. May the Lord bless you tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Now, you faith folks, in the morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, we may be on here on the news side. I want to thank our ex-folks for being with us tonight. Good crowd over next tonight. Good crowd on Facebook. Good crowd on YouTube. Excellent live crowd. And we're grateful for you. Hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy Tony Branco. We have got January Smith Littlejohn. We interviewed her today. Powerful stuff coming. We got Will Federer this week. Magdalene Rose will be calling in Thursday night. And James Akers will too, hopefully. Jacksonville, Florida. I will see you Friday night. I hope you'll come be with me. 6821 South Point Boulevard, I think, is the address. And please, make your plans to be with us. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night on the Face Show. We love you guys tonight. The opinions of this show are mine. This is the McFiles. I'm Christopher McDonald. And I approve this message that comes from this network. And I'm hoping you enjoying the show and enjoying the ride, because I sure am having a good time doing it. May the Lord bless you tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night, everybody.